It's been 4 days since Armor King released in early access for Tekken 8, and I have to admit, I think I was wrong about the character. He's been a surprising breath of fresh air. Today, I want to talk about why I think that is, how I think this is going to affect the direction of Tekken 8 going forward, and how, you know, I always keep saying I'm pretty hopeful, but Armor King is multiple steps, if not leaps, in the correct direction. He has some issues, which I want to talk about as well, but I think if you guys have been waiting for good news about Tekken 8, this will be a pleasant surprise. It definitely was for me. First, I want to kind of recap how we got here. Like, what is the headspace we're in coming into Armor King's release? About a week before he dropped, Bandai Namco didn't do a Tekken talk. They just put out early access footage of the character. And this is what we saw. A brand new stance called Bad Jaguar. There's a divide between the community, whether we'll abbreviate it to Bad or to BJ. But I will say that this is the first thing that we saw and it alarmed us. It had a built-in parry. It turns out it's just a punch parry. He breathes on you and then gets an unbreakable throw, which, as you can see, depending on the stage, can give a floor break combo, right? Or in other cases, if he parries something near the wall, his Shining Wizard throw will blow up the wall altogether. We also saw forward neutral 2, one of his best moves, go into stance after. So, in general, they showed very inflammatory footage for people who have been skeptical of the Tekken 8 direction thus far. And what we saw after that in the next video they put out is what he gains during Heat State, which was also pretty alarming. Here is a homing high normal hit launcher, a chargeable evasive backswing blow, that's a launcher, tornado launcher to be fair, and then a plus on block power crush out of his stance. So we saw a parry into unbreakable throws, his throws be homing in heat, and we saw these egregious looking moves. So people were pretty upset at these announcements. It got to the point that we weren't even talking about like, hey, just wait for the character to come out. The climate was pretty negative, okay? But it's been a pleasant surprise seeing people play this character. So I'll put up some Armor King gameplay courtesy of Glaciating while I talk about what he used to do. Armor King historically was a very polarizing character in that the players who played him really liked him for the wrestling aesthetic, the Mishima elements, the ability to poke and kind of move around and get whiff punishes and counter hits a lot. And other people have called his gameplay kind of boring. Armor King has so many decent moves. None of them are individually ridiculously broken, right? Historically. But he has a lot of good moves that are really annoying to get around when you put his whole kit together. So the Armor King game plan was honestly a lot of put out a poke and then create pushback situations where he can threaten counter hits or whiff punishes, and it happens over and over and over again. If you decide to respect the counter hits and the pushback situations, he will grab you, and he has chain throws kind of like King. He has the giant swing Shining Wizard mix-up. It's a very familiar gameplay loop over and over, but in the context of Tekken 8, a lot of players are finding this somewhat refreshing. The fact that a character is more of a poke, counter hit, and whiff punish character than an offensive stance mix-up character. It's been pretty refreshing. Even though Armor King has new transitions to his stance, even though he has some empowered heat moves, he's still kind of the same guy he was before. In order to elaborate on this point, I have to show you some stuff in the lab, and I think it would be pretty important to look at. But before I do that, I want to show you a clip of Landon's that I thought was really funny. The fact that he's not kind of mandated to play a certain way means he has a lot of flexibility. And because he has so many good moves, there's a lot of ways to overwhelm a player that you have a skill gap over. And Landon decides to do it in a, well, I'll let the clip speak for itself about how he decides to do it.
Play mad random. Lily. Run at him. Run at him. That floor breaks. New stand. Fucking Armor King shit. Back 4 randomly. I'm so good at the game. Down 4. To the table.
So The as you can see, Armor King can definitely play ignorantly, but because a lot of his stuff isn't outright oppressive and overpowered, there is a lot of counterplay. You won't be seeing that kind of gameplay in tournament level play most of the time, probably. But I thought that was a funny clip. I want to talk to you about why Armor King feels, I hesitate to use the word fair in the climate of Tekken 8, but why he has been refreshing. Fundamentally, what makes Armor King so annoying historically is all of the poke situations he has that are favorable or reset to neutral. So let me start with this. I'm going to turn off his heat. Let me start with this. So I have Armor King set to respond on block with down forward 1. And as you can see, one of my pokes, down forward 4, pushes back outside of this range. Back 4, a key mid at the tip, also has this pushback situation, right? So it's very feasible to just poke and whiff punish, right? He has a lot of moves that do this. Let me switch to my notes real quick. What are the pushback buttons? Yeah, his new forward forward 2, pushback situation. Of course, if you don't want to whiff in your opponent's face, the usual answer is to dash up, right? So if the other Armor King dashes up, then the down forward 1 is no longer whiffing. Armor King, to complement that, has a bunch of counter hit launchers, right? Down forward 2, down forward 3. He could decide to just hop kick, right? He has a lot of options. He used to have counter hit back 1. He has a lot of options that kind of play around this gameplay loop. Pushback situation, are you going to dash to try and close the gap? Or are you going to swing right away because you don't want to get counter hit, right? And he kind of loops that gameplay around and around. And it's pretty annoying as a defender because he has a million moves that create this situation and you kind of just have to respect it. So and on top of that, some of them are so like safe that you can play sidesteps after. So it's not just backdash whiff punishing, it's also sidesteps if you're good at the game. Like this. Like this. There we go. Right? So Armor King has that kind of gameplay loop going on. When you combine that with the fact that all his pokes are accessible from like a wave dash stance, if you think of like Mishima's, they don't have good pokes unless you're like old school Devil Jin. So this wave dash pressure and the ability to get in is kind of balanced out by the fact that he doesn't have good pokes. Armor King doesn't have that issue. And then if you're fighting an opponent that's turtling, you have this true throw mix-up, right? This throw looks identical to this throw, but they're different throw breaks. Your opponent really has to guess. And again, if the opponent decides to duck because they don't want to deal with the throw mix-up, you also have the quick pokes and then higher reward buttons like back 4, 1+2, right? Safe mid, 35 damage, creates a pushback situation. So if the opponent wakes up from here and decides to play that same, you know, down forward 1 game, it's in that whiff range. So Armor King isn't going to get in there, play a bunch of plus frames usually, and then enforce that. There's a lot of poking and disengaging. Poking and disengaging, which is refreshing in the grand scheme of Tekken 8. I could ramble on that forever, but the part I really want to cover is how much more counterplay there is to his Tekken 8 stuff. And this is where I think the character really shines in Season 2. So he has dumb stuff. Let's get that out of the way. This should not be a counter hit launcher. That is insane to me, right? And the combo is not difficult. Forward, forward 2, cartwheel, and then this extension, you can optimize the damage, things like that. But he gets a counter hit launcher off of an advancing Demon Paw, right? If I record the bot to do the Demon Paw against me and play it, you'll see he'll do a wave dash into a Demon Paw. If I know the timing it's coming, it's an easy sidestep right. I'm not even like side walking. I'm doing a sidestep block. Look at how tiny that is. And it whiffs completely. If I have a really good read, I can even sidewalk left, right? I wouldn't advise that because of the other moves. But in general, if you know the timing the move is coming at, it's very easy to get around. So it's not spammable. A better player than you is going to kill you for trying to do that over and over. We've seen this before, though. Linear mid, FDX. What if they mix it up with their homing high? That's not the homing high. What if they mix it up with the homing high? Look at this. Sidestep right duck. And look at how long I have to whiff punish that. You see the punish text pops up? Even if I sidestep duck, think about it a bit, I can still get the punish in time. This creates a little option select defense that we haven't seen in a long time. If I see them wave dashing at me, I can sidestep right duck and get around both options. This is what old school Tekken defense was like. And because of the long whiff recovery of the homing high, I can still whiff punish it even after visually confirming that I've gone past it, right? If he'll do the other move, turn up the randomness here, I have time to whiff punish it, which is fantastic. This is kind of what people have wanted out of Tekken defense for a super long time. Yes, it's a homing high that's +2, and it's complemented by a counter hit launching mid, but the defense is reasonable. Look at this. Let's say I want to add in this +6 advancing mid, right? This is also reasonable to defend against. If I do the sidestep right duck, I have time to see him jump in the air and stand back up, right? Don't hold the crouch, stand back up. But also, if my timing is really good, I get around it entirely. So I can turn on all of these options and play sidestep right duck if I see him running at me, and beat almost all of them, again, assuming I know the timing it's coming at, and I react to him jumping in the air with a stand block in time. So it's challenging, but it's rewarding, right? And if my timing's off, that means he outplayed me, right? If he's changing up his timing with multiple wave dashes or he swings a little sooner, then that's on me. He cooked me. And this is where the two-player game of Tekken, offensively and defensively, has been so exciting in the past. And this is what kind of early Season 1 and Season 2 kind of took away from us. So to see this back again is amazing. Now this low is ridiculous. It's +5 on hit, +8 on counter hit into guaranteed stance offense. Sorry, +8 into stance if he goes into it, right? And then on counter hit, he gets a guaranteed stance follow-up. This one is weird tracking. I'm not gonna lie. This move is hard to sidestep. Even if you go right and you have the right timing, sometimes it'll just track you. Same thing to the left. I'm very, very skilled right now, but sometimes it's unreliable. If I turn on all these options, that sidestep right duck covers it, right? And you have time to see what's going on, react to him jumping in the air. Don't just sit there like a deer in the headlights. There we go. Right? And get your block or whiff punish. It's amazing to have this kind of interaction in Tekken once again. Another cool thing. You remember we saw those Twitter clips of how broken the Heat offense looked, right? Look at this. This string is +3, right? +3 off of a Heat string. That looks really obnoxious. You can actually step the down forward one after. So if he tries to frame trap you, you can sidestep whiff punish. Like that. If he goes for this other thing that we were showing, that's not it. And if he goes for this other offense we were showing, right? The homing high, that's a normal hit launcher in Heat, goes into stance for free mix-up. This move is easy to make whiff. I can do 2 back dashes and whiff punish it. This is like unheard of to have Heat offense so counterplayable. It's also 14 frames or 24 frames. So it's very reasonable to counter hit unless your opponent is really making you stand still. This tells me, surprisingly, that the dev team has actually made some pretty cool adjustments to how they want to design this offense. At a low level, this is going to be frustrating. If you're just kind of backdashing slowly, wow, you dodged it even then. If you're backdashing kind of slowly, this mix-up is going to be annoying to take, right? And if I record Armor King doing the other option, up back 1 into this, then he's plus again. That's super annoying, right? +8 into +5. Great, now I have to guess again. But this kind of gives a learning path for the player. If they watch high-level play, they'll see 2 backdashes, get around that move, and dodge the mix-up altogether. It's very exciting that backdashing and sidestepping are being rewarded again. All right? And then, aside from that, in general, he's just a more linear character, which makes it feel like sidestepping is very logical. Right? Look at this string. 3-hit string, mid, mid, high. He can stop. He doesn't have to do the duckable high that you can launch. But if I sidewalk right, the whole string whiffs. This is how strings have been historically in Tekken. In Tekken 7 and in early Tekken 8 and in Season 2, they kind of, you know, started tracking for free. But look at this. He doesn't automatically realign. This is what people have been asking for as Tekken players. We need way more of this. If every character comes out in Season 3 as an Armor King styled character, This is great news, right? The sidesteps feel rewarding. It feels logical. Now, he's going to have moves that do track certain sidesteps, but it's going to be so obvious that you'll know that it's supposed to track you. Take a look at this. Jab, shoulder, okay? Traditional wisdom says you step Armor King to the right against most moves, right? And that makes sense. If you do want to step left, it's against really particular moves. If I'm going to show one out of nowhere, it's going to be like down forward 3, right? His counter hit launcher. If this Armor King is spamming the counter hit launcher, I go left and then I whiff punish, right? If I go right, it's also like steppable to the right, but it's very reliable to the left, okay? So let's say as Armor King now, I'm tired of the opponent stepping to the left, beating my move. If I go left here, the shoulder got evaded. I guess not. Even so, this move in most situations reliably tracks step left, but after the jab specifically, you can still step it. So this is even better news than I expected. When I initially was checking out the shoulder, I just recorded it raw like this, and I was stepping it on timing, right? And I found that it was tracking my step left, right? But what's even more surprising is that even though it's kind of supposed to track that way, it's not 100% consistent. This means that Armor King really has to pay attention to what moves he's putting out. He has a million good moves, but they're not consistent enough to just throw out without thinking at all. Now, he has some homing moves like back 3+4, this homing mid, right? Very strong to have a homing mid. Pay attention to the frame data. I'm going to make Armor King do it. Actually, I'll just make Armor King block it. Pay attention to this frame data. -9. This is like a traditional homing move. It gives up his turn completely, even though it's a safe mid, right? You don't know if your opponent's going to step, which direction, what timing, so you throw this out. You're probably going to be right, but if you're wrong, you give up your turn completely. That's amazing. Now, let's circle back to some dumb stuff, okay? Up forward 1, counter hit launcher. This is a little crazy. On top of having this counter hit launcher, he still has while standing 2 counter hit launch, right? But in isolation, these moves are not fully spammable. Let me just show you, right? Armor King does this into this, okay? Plus frame move into counter hit launcher. Select the CPU's movements, VDX. Practice mode noob. Plus into this, right? This should be dodgeable with sidewalk right, yeah? Even from a +6 advantage, his counter hit launcher is steppable and whiff punishable. That's not the hop kick. This is the hop kick, right? He's so linear when he needs to be linear, and he's tracking when you pick the right move, right? So it's a wonderful, wonderful implementation of a character, and we haven't seen design like this in a long time. That's a bunch of good news. I've been glazing this character a bit. Let's talk about the things that I'm nitpicky about. The things that I'm not so happy about with the design. They're not the end of the world. They feel like some Tekken 8 compromises, but I think it's worth addressing. Armor King now has a 13 frame punish from crouch. So if you block a 13 frame low, he has this. In addition, this move is basically homing. If an Armor King is wave dashing at you and does while standing 3-2 or 3-1, it's basically homing. So this move is really good. It's heat dashable to make it +5 or to get this follow-up. Right, heat engage, heat dash, follow-up, right? So that's a pretty good move. They also made his while standing 1 15 frames. This used to be 16 frames. So if you duck, you're supposed to... He used to have to launch with his hop kick. Now, it's while standing 1. Okay. What else do we have? Down forward 1 being now a -3 on block down forward 1. This is not the end of the world again. It's still a really good poke. But historically, this was a -1 down forward 1 with no extension. Think of like Shaheen. Now it has this high extension if the opponent mashes into it. So I'm going to set the punish on here. Opponent mashes into it. You get a free crouch throw. This is a very Tekken 8 move. It's really not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. It's just kind of... It feels like Tekken 8 slop, for lack of a better word. We have a bunch of, am I going to do the extension or not? If you respect my extension, then I can grab you, right? So there's a bit of that, which I'm not a fan of. You'll notice I'm in heat. His throws are homing now, including his command throws, which is really cheap. His chain throws are not homing. Note that. So in heat, If he does the wave dash chain throw, it's not homing, okay? But his giant swing and shining wizard are. So it's a true mix-up. That's pretty whack. And finally, I'll pull up the Twitter clips again. And we'll just show some other complaints people have, mainly in the combo department. So his wall carry is egregious. I don't really have a better way to put it except that. This is a video from Rang Chu saying very easy wall carry, or insane wall carry, very easy. So on the Coliseum, which is the second biggest stage aside from Yakushima, you'll see with this combo, he can get all the way to the wall from the reset position and do 108 damage. Look at the combo again. So dark upper, clothesline, that's crouch dash 1, down forward 3. That new string is everybody's combo filler. Strong aerial tailspin. Strong aerial tailspin, cartwheel 1, and then the wall combo. So this is pretty egregious. What an easy wall carry. Another example of his wall carry is here. Armor King is, in my opinion, the scariest character to low parry you, and he has a few combo samples here. Low parry. It's interesting. Up back 1 didn't strong aerial tailspin outside of heat. Did you see that? Full wall carry with no tornado. Yeah, I guess it's only a strong aerial tailspin in heat. That's fascinating. But because with a late clothesline, you can connect this heat burst. Now it's strong aerial tailspins. Cartwheel 1, wall combo, 80 damage. All right, this is Ortiz Farm with the floor break. I don't know if he's going to use it. Double clothesline. He gets a far splat and then breaks the floor. Right off the sidewall. It's pretty reliable to convert that as a King or Armor King. Bad Jaguar 1 for the wall carry. That was actually pretty cool. So his wall carry seems a little crazy from a balance perspective, if you ask me. Again, I have beef with Tekken combos being too long in general, in terms of duration that the defending player can't play the game. But that's a debate for a separate topic. Here's a cool clip about a unique extension he has against Fakumram. So his forward 2-1 creates a unique slide back that his forward 4 can reach. So that's pretty neat. I didn't expect this to lead to any kind of conversion, but forward 4 heat dash does. Fakumram specific, I think, because of his very long legs. And then lastly, there are some infinite clips you may have seen. These are not real, but it's important to know the counterplay. So let's look at Justin Iglesias here. Justin Iglesias, if you don't know, was a Armor King main in Tekken 7. We saw him a ton in the online tournaments, especially during COVID. He didn't have a character in Tekken 8, so he's been inactive, but now Armor King is back. All right, carries to the wall. And now he does one jab, throw into wall splat. This isn't real. You can't forward 2-1 there. If you hold back, Armor King only gets back 1-2. But the player is not holding back. So it looks like an infinite and the combo counter is going up. The other thing to note is that this floor grab is breakable, right? So you can, I believe this one is a 2 break. It's a 1 or a 2 break. And this wall splat 1 should be the 2 break. All right. So it's not a true infinite, but it's important to note that you need to hold back and you need to break the ground throws. I think he just shows the clip twice. Yeah, this is just the same clip twice. But anyways, yeah, so this is some legacy stuff. Got to be aware of it. This is the same for the other infinite that you may have seen where he's hitting you from the back and face splatting you into the wall. The ground throws are all breakable. It's just a 50-50. All right. And then lastly, some stats. So No Context Tekken tweeted that these are the numbers for DLC early access versus full release on Steam. So it doesn't account for console, right? And he was just noting that Armor King had the least drop off, right? So these are the all the DLCs before. You'll notice that the numbers were way higher because Tekken 8 had insane hype coming out the gate. I credit that to the Sajam Slam and the big streamers that picked up Tekken 8. I really hope that Bandai Namco collaborates with creators more often because the streaming community and the fighting game community are what really drive the life of these games. But you'll notice that the numbers generally drop off even when they are really high. And here is the Armor King data. So early access versus full access, the numbers went up. It's the first time. Now, again, the total numbers are slightly lower if you compare it to the recent releases, right? The recent releases being these. Anna was huge because it was also Season 2 launch, so I think that's a factor. but there was a general drop off, right? Armor King is the first time that they're, level to higher. So he's brought, I think, a lot of players back. I've been surprised at how high level players like Glaciating and Speed Kicks feel that he is refreshing compared to most Tekken 8 kind of cookie cutter gameplay where you're kind of shoehorned into playing a certain way. Armor King is the same guy he was before, but in the current landscape of Tekken 8, that's pretty refreshing. And that seems to be the general takeaway, is that this character is a pretty faithful port to the modern era. He's still doing the same things he was doing before, right? He's got a few new things like this counter hit launcher. It's plus on block, but he's got this new stance, right? But in general, he feels fair. And I put fair in air quotes because, again, some of this stuff if you showed some of this stuff to a Tekken 5 or Tekken 6 player, they would be losing their minds. But the fact that a lot of legacy defense and offense, the skills on both sides, are required to succeed with and survive against Armor King is promising. It means that they're showing respect for these legacy skills in the design of the character, right? I was so surprised to lab out this wave dash offense and find out that the old option select, sidestep right duck, which was viable in previous Tekkens, is viable once again. And of course, there are some fresh surprises, like this crouch dash 1 being +5 and leaving you this close on block. But the old defense still works. So even while they've buffed some of the reward, they've allowed the defensive counterplay to be a bit more nuanced and less like a straight guess between everything. And that's ultimately what makes this so exciting, is when you combine all of his moves, which are pretty strong together, and you throw them at a good defender, they'll be able to eventually skill gap you, right? So it rewards good defensive play, and it rewards an Armor King who knows how to attack around good defenders. And to me, that's what Tekken 8 has been losing and needs to regain. So if every character going forward feels like Armor King, I think that's a great sign. If they update every character in Season 3 to play like Armor King, that's also a great sign. It's so refreshing that a character keeps his identity, has counterplay, and still has some updates that make him feel very, very fresh and like able to compete in Tekken 8. So those are my thoughts on Armor King. Let me know what you think. I'll be playing him a little bit more. I do have other events to prepare for in Street Fighter and 2XKO, so I don't have as much time to grind the character. But yeah, I was wrong based on my first impressions that they showed on Twitter, and I'm glad that I was wrong. I hope that they keep going this way because this is fantastic news. That's pretty much all I have for you. Leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed this. Subscribe for more, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.